Welcome back, everybody, to the Who's Accountable podcast. I'm your host and creator, Mahael Abdul Kawi. I'm also a founder and a representative of the Accountability Party for Human Rights. We are a political vanguard organization whose mission it is to provide services and resources for the oppressed working class communities across this country. This platform, the Who's Accountable podcast, is a way for the members of the Accountability Party for Human Rights to discuss matters, events, and people that fit within our mission and help us hold ourselves accountable to the cause that we have chosen to devote our lives towards. So on this podcast, we will be discussing things that happen on a day to day within politics, within the communities, different events in the cultural wars, etc., etc. And maybe if those participating in these discussed topics held themselves accountable, maybe there would have been better outcomes for everybody involved that was in play. So, with that being said, I want to dive into this video. I want to, in a way, make a part two to my last video, which I talked about the labor shortage that is currently happening right now in the country. I opened up a discussion in that corporations are very pissed and that they would rather blame unemployment instead of holding themselves accountable for their inability to actually provide proper incentive, proper income, and or any valid reason for these people to just leave their new routine or schedule or just the new wave of thinking that we have across this country of people who are honestly tired of corporations. I discussed a lot of this in my last video, and I kind of want to just keep going with that because I keep seeing other sources talk about it as well. I keep seeing multiple people, bloggers, commentators, different mainstream news outlets on the ground on YouTube. It's a common discussion because I think this is something that those who were aware of the conversations that were beginning to start from last year, you would already know that when the opportunity for jobs to reopen came about, it wasn't going to be the same anymore. I can say personally for myself, prior to shutdowns and COVID, I was hopping around from job to job. Besides this video and besides my community work, and just hopping around from job to job, I am an artist. So a lot of my income, and I'm an underground artist, that's that. So a lot of my income came from hopping around from different customer service jobs, retail jobs, restaurant and hospitality. And I remember around the time that COVID happened, I was in the mentality that I was going to work my ass off and really start investing so that way I don't have to long term keep dedicating my body, my mind, and my soul to a corporation, especially a corporation that is run by a white male. That is something that I was already starting to dedicate my time towards. I was building the path to freedom for myself and for my life so that way I'm able to keep doing the things that I love and able to create and to produce without having to appease to corporate America and capitalism and what they wanted from me. And then I remember like 2 months in quarantine, I told myself I can't go back at all. You know, uh, there was, although I was building that path, there were still the constraints that capitalism had on my life where I felt like I was still obliged to be a part of this system, and that I would always have to be a part of the system because I'm a college dropout, I don't have a degree. And even then, when you have the awareness that those who have degrees are still struggling to find jobs, for me, it felt really grim all around, where I felt like I had to go to the corporations just to survive and eat, and just to have anything to say like, hey, I got this. 2 months into quarantine, I told myself no more. By last summer, when the protests and everything was building up, it was guaranteed that I could no longer work for a corporate company that did not care for its employees. I didn't mind working at like a small company that, where I felt like it was fair, because I'm not anti-work. I'm anti-capitalism taking advantage of people for the protection and profit of CEOs and the rest of their higher ups. That's what I'm against. But I think people should work. It's a very crucial part of society. It gives you a purpose when you feel like you don't have any. It's a good way to meet other people. It's a good way to meet relationships that you might, looking back, if those bonds are still intact, you'll look back and you'll think this job. You'll think, oh, wow, I met a good friend. I met my future wife. Whatever it may be, I do think work is important. And although I think work is important, I firmly agree everybody's stance on when they say, I don't want to go back to work. And it's not just because unemployment is giving us extra money. Yes, that is a part of it. And like I said in my last video, the only reason why people have that mentality is that unemployment is giving us more money than people have seen 5 years into any job experience. And unemployment is our taxpayer money. So we are seeing more from this than from what our jobs could ever have ever done. And most people, I don't want to say all, I'm not even going to say half, a small but solid percentage of people are just sitting around. And it's that sitting around, you think, wow, I'm getting paid a lot just to fucking sit around. Whereas the job that I had, it couldn't even pay me. You had to lift boxes 5 days a week, at least $20. I'm not even getting paid the proper pay for what I am doing. And you find that in a lot of jobs all around, where people are doing services at a very low wage. And this is where people are getting upset. When people are going home and their bodies are killing them, when they feel extreme fatigue because they have to work 40 plus hours just to even pay for their apartment. We're not even talking about paying for groceries or paying for your materialistic joys for their family, to just have, like toys for their kids, or to even have a TV just to be like, I just want to watch some fucking TV. People can't even do that because they're so focused on paying alone for their place. If you want to pay for all the extra stuff, you need probably 2 jobs. I've been seeing this stat. I can't speak for women, but I've seen it in particular for men. Only a 10% of men make 6 figures. The rest of men, we are literally at the bottom, struggling paycheck to paycheck, making these, and that's our life, and that's what men have had to accept. And with this new moment happening, even though we are making less than 6 figures, you still have people saying, I don't want to go back to work. And why do you think it's something as simple as that we're getting more money? No, nobody wants to be on unemployment forever. You'll be surprised if you give people a task, a job, a duty, most people will enjoy it. We need to stop looking at these small numbers and acting as if they speak for the majority. We do that for every fucking thing, and it's ruining our perception. It's ruining our understanding. We can't relate. There's no empathy. We got a whole lot of sympathy, but sympathy is only a fraction of understanding. And it's at every aspect of it. It's even outside of men. Hold on. Outside of men, this past month in April, women's employment fell. So in January, there was 34,000 losses. February, there was 256,000 losses. Gain, 256,000 gain. In March, there was 595,000. In the month of April, we lost 8,000 employment from women. Gains and losses in women labor force participation, working or seeking work. January, it was a loss of 380,000. February, it was a gain of 137,000. March, 492,000. In April, it was 64,000. 64,000 just not giving a fuck anymore. So now we have men and women. Regardless if it was prior COVID or during, or we're talking about right now. It's low on both ends. And we have to look at the reasons why. People change their lives and they realize, yo, I'm able to work from home. I'm able to complete everything they said I had to go out there for. I'm able to take care of myself, find better healthcare options for myself, able to invest finally into my family, into myself, without the aid of capitalism and Uncle Sam. And people, not only are they saying I don't need it, because it could be as simple like, yeah, we're cool, but is anger involved because capitalism lied to us. Not only are we making these choices, we're making these choices out of anger because people are seeing that they lied to us for decade after decade after decade, saying that we have to devote our livelihood to you. It's modern day slavery. And because we get things out of it, we don't want to call it that. But fam, slavery means that long term your life is screwed. Just because you get a short term gain and that you can buy this or buy that does not excuse what is really happening. Hold on. We have the number of women moving into employment and moving from employment into unemployment and not in labor force status. From March to April, it's gone. There's more women now who are moving to unemployment and moving into not in labor force status. And I believe this is because women, specifically moms, again, they're realizing all that a lot of the priorities and all that come with just being a woman, they're able to do now that they're not sacrificing their time to a corporation all day fucking long. You see? Especially moms. When they had to deal with schools saying that their kid has this, their kid has that, they need to be held back. And finally we had moms, parents taking care of their kids at home, teaching, helping them learn. And then they see that their kid doesn't actually have these fucking problems. Their kid just needed some special attention and conviction and special and really just giving them the tools and fundamentals to succeed instead of giving them, there's this, there's that. Parents are saying like, yo, I can teach my kid better and still do work and be able to accomplish all this at the same time. And while all this is going on, mind you, why these corporations and CEOs are complaining about the workforce? Over here, we have a new Institute for Policy Studies report finds that 51 of the country's 100 largest low-wage employers, the new Institute for Policy Studies reports that 51 of the country's 100 lowest low-wage employers move bonus goalposts. They moved bonus goalposts or made other rule changes in 2020 to give their CEOs 29% average raises, while their frontline employees made 2% less. Among these 51 rule rigging companies, average CEO compensation was $15.3 million in 2020, while median worker pay was $28,187 on average. The average CEO worker pay ratio 130 to 1. So let's see how these got here, because they have some pretty good examples as to how these CEOs were able to get to this point. So the Hilton CEO, Christopher Nassetta, had the largest paycheck among the rule rigging companies. After he failed to meet the goals associated with his multi-year stock awards, the board modified the awards by disregarding poor 2020 financial results and changing the performance metrics. Those maneuvers inflated his total compensation to $56 million, 1,953 times as much as the company's median worker pay of $28,608. The owner of KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell, CEO David Gibbs, he garnered positive media coverage by donating $900,000 of his salary to pay for $1,000 bonuses for restaurant general managers. But the board changed its bonus metrics to give Gibbs a special cash bonus and a stock grant worth more than 2.5 times his voluntary salary cut. This boosted Gibbs' total compensation to $14.6 million, 1,286 times as much as median worker pay of $11,377. The fast food giant did not offer hazard pay to the frontline employees whose average wages are just $9.75 per hour. Coca-Cola, the top executives met their bonus targets last year none of the top executives met their bonus targets last year either, but the company board used discretion to give them all bonuses anyway. CEO James Quincy, that $960,000 bonus combined with new stock-based awards drove his total compensation package above $18 million, over 1,600 times as much as the company's typical worker pay. In December 2020, Coca-Cola announced plans to cut about 2,200 jobs, or 17% of its workforce. About 1,200 of the layoffs would hit U.S. workers. And I like this little tweet they have included and all that says that the minimum wage would be $44 today if it had kept pace with Wall Street bonuses since 1985. The 2020 bonus pool for 182,100 security industry employees could pay for more than 1 million jobs paying $15 per hour for a year. And these are the same corporations who can't hold themselves accountable to the fact that maybe they're the reason why people don't want to go back to fucking work. Did they ever think about these facts are very public and that it doesn't take a lot of research? You can literally read this article. You can literally Google CEO compensation in the year 2020, 2019, 2018 and just see a bunch of stats that prove they have not been giving a fuck about us. Not just in the last 3 years, but in the last couple of decades. And yet they expect people to go back to work because things are opening up. You can't get your slave labor no more, bro. That's a fucking fact. It's not happening no more. And they have their right to be truly pissed at the American people. Just remember that they're mad at us for not wanting to go back to work when we finally have the open mind mentality and awareness to say, fuck you, I'm going to do my own thing, or I'm going to go for somebody that actually cares about their employees. It's as simple as that. Since this year started, we've been seeing all that We've been seeing that capitalism is undefeated, regardless of a pandemic or not. Look at the workers' union out in Alabama that tried to go against Amazon for literally this shit. And Amazon definitely can't hold themselves accountable for the fact and all that these unions are there because of them. People don't want to have to fight for fair living wages. It's a human fucking right. And the fact that this is debate shows why people are pissed off and why the people don't accept anything anymore, man. And those who are complacent with this are only feeding into the stigma and all that the people are just complaining. No, stop being complacent. Stop settling for what these corps give you and stand up, because you are the value. They are nothing without us. And inshallah, man, it's this workers' revolution continues and grows and even more, because what we're seeing right now happening in live time is the death of this idea, that we need these corporations. No, they need us. And that's a fact. The same way, that slave masters needed slaves, it wasn't the other way around. We find that today. It's the same exact shit. Just a little bit more prettier.